Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a Buddies Network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, yes, yes. It is the Diamond Factor Experience Show with Barbara Beckley and experts and guests. I'm just going to start just putting that as my tagline now because this would not be a show, and I have confirmation in my heart, soul, and mind without my experts and without my guests. So I just have to say over and over, I don't care how much I say it. I don't care. I appreciate them and I love them dearly. And I just want to say that welcome to another episode of the Diamond Factor Experience Show on a Tuesday. Because as we said, last week was our first week. No, our second week. Our second week. That we had it for a whole week. So I'm like, yay, we're doing it. So tell your friends, family, a person in the store, maybe you're at a restaurant, whatever, and say, make sure you tune in at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time to the Diamond Factor Experience Show. Yes, I am yes, I will be promoting because I love this show. Not just because, I'm producing it and I'm over it, but because I know the three things that I always say about this show that I always want to bring is I want to bring you awareness. I want to bring you motivation, and I want to educate you here and there. And that's why I pick out certain individuals to be experts on this show, just so that is happening. And today with our hour, today is the hour of impact. And I was like, I always come on and do like a either a special quote or give you something to kind of think about and say, that was something interesting for today. Thank you, Barbara, for that little gold nugget. So I want to be straightforward today. Usually I read a paragraph, but today I was like, this I feel like really fits because I was thinking about, okay, this is impact hour. We need to kind of talk about and get you ready to think about impact. So I want to say, don't ever underestimate the impact that you have in your life to help somebody else. Don't ever underestimate the impact that you have in your life to impact somebody else's life. So true, so true. That's why I always go back and revert to your stories in life. Whatever you're doing, good and bad, ugly, you are creating an impact because people are learning from what you are dealing with. People are learning for the stepping stones of strength and the stepping stones of encouragement that you have conquered through what you do. Even, I was listening up last night. Somebody was talking about failure is a part of life. So why fight it? They said you're growing stronger in it. You're learning new skills and techniques and how to handle things. So don't look at it so much as a negative, but look at it as a learning curve. And I was like, it's always awesome how you can put a spin on things. How bad it might be, you can still put a spin on something. And then I was thinking to myself, well, okay, how about if you just really screwed up? I mean, you just really just like, it's just like, this is like, oh man, this just screwed, not just myself, but a whole lot of people got messed up with this little screw up that I did. And then they said, even if it's like a catastrophe, like you think in your mind, it's like this big catastrophe, and it could be. They said, but you still learn from it. Because why take that extra time to get stressed out, pissed off, upset? And they said, yeah, your emotion's going to come in because we're human. It's going to come. It's going to be there. I always tell people, own it for a minute. But think about, okay, now that I went through this whole big thing, how can I use this to impact others to even say, okay, let's learn the lessons from what I did. Let's learn how I cope with it. See, it's all about, people look at you with that, how you cope with things, what you learn from it, what you bring from that. So just telling your mind every time something happens that's not going to be so happy, and think to yourself, okay, what can I do? How can I cope with this? How can I handle this? And then from that point, how do I go by getting through it, over it, or around it? And then after that, you ask yourself, how can I take this and give it to somebody else and say, look, this is what I did. This is how I coped. This is the impact that I want to give you. So first of all, maybe you have to make the same mistake I did. And second of all, if you did make the same mistake I did, this is what I did to make it just a little bit easier to understand how I dealt with it. So remember, whatever you do, you are making an impact in this world, no matter how it is, good and bad and ugly, because we're all learning from each other. We're all growing with each other, and that's just life. So with that said, I want to do something, and that's what I want to do. What I want to do, I want to start the show. Here we go.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I was on mute. How is everyone today? Thank you, Barbara, again for that wonderful inspiration that you always give us at the start of the show. I love it when Barbara does it at first because it's always confirmation based on what it is that I felt that needed to be discussed for today. So it's amazing how she was talking about life and how you use your life and your journey to impact others, because I had somebody inbox me after the last couple of shows where we're talking about, letting go of your past and doing determination and all those other kind of things. And the question was, well, what about childhood, right? We're talking about our adult situations and how we've overcome things as an adult, but what about the trials, tribulations, and traumas of childhood? How do you still move forward and impact the world when you're scarred from childhood? So, I like to be transparent. So I wanted to tell a little bit about mine on today. And then we're going to have story time. When's the last time someone read you a story? We're going to have story time. But first, I wanted to get into a little bit about my childhood so you can kind of see how you can definitely overcome the traumas of childhood. So my story started trial and tribulations in the womb, actually. Uh, the way I came about was something that shook the foundation of a family, tore a family apart in many ways. And I ended up being adopted by my great aunt. That's what she was at the moment of my birth. She was my great aunt. She adopted me and became my mother. But in doing so, because of how it came about, she lost a lot of friends. She lost a lot of family members even to do so. So her decision to make change and do better impacted her life, right? So sometimes when you make a choice, the impact that comes against you may not always be positive, whether it be because people are jealous, whether it be because you're standing up for what's right and they don't want to do so. Either way, it tends to happen. So she raised me from birth, actually, but she wasn't well, right? She had MS along with other things. Disability was doing what disability often does, and they were being slow about, making her disabled so she could collect the money she needed for us to survive. And so I watched her survive no matter what, right? So I watched her take MS, and for those that don't know what that is, it's a muscle disease. So it causes staggering, and it causes your equilibrium to be all off and your muscles to be weak. But she still cared for me as a baby. Not only that, but to make ends meet, she opened up an in-home daycare. And I remember when I became old enough to remember, she ran a 24-hour daycare. Oh my God. Kids was coming and going all the time, right? First shift, second shift, and third shift. But she did what she had to do to make ends meet. She made a decision, and her decision was to be my mother. And in that decision, she did what she had to do to make that happen. She did what she had to do to prepare for me, to take care of me, to give me what I needed. Her child was grown. Her child's children was almost grown when she decided to take on the task of being my mother. And I also remember, despite her sickness, and despite everything she was doing, the in-home daycares and everything, the elderly people in our family did not go to retirement homes. She absolutely refused. So there was a room in our home, and that's where they stayed. No matter what their illness, no matter what their situation, that room in our home is where they stayed. And we took care of them. We changed diapers. We did diabetic meal plans. We implemented insulin. You name it, we did it. When they went to the hospital, we ran shifts, being at the hospital to be with them. And I remember there were times as a child where I was like, I don't want to do this, right? I don't want to do this. I just want to sit somewhere and watch cartoons. I want to be like what I considered normal for the other kids, because they're what I did at home when I got out of school story was different than mine, right? because they didn't have or carry the same responsibilities that I had. And I remember just sometimes resenting that. I also remember being bullied in school. Oh God, I was bullied something terrible. One, because I was a lone wolf. I didn't have any siblings there to, take up for me. And two, I had physical ailment, which I don't know if you noticed yet in the show, but I actually have a muscle problem in one eye, which it makes me have a lazy eye. So I was picked on because of that. I wore bifocals like I was a target, right? I was a walking target. I wore bifocals. I had a lazy eye. And my mom would make these outfits for me, and they would have stuff on them. And when I say stuff, I mean they would have ducks and swans and houses and, and so I was just a walking target. And then I was a straight A student, so now I'm a nerd on top of everything else. And I remember being tortured in school. Oh my goodness, tortured to no end. And then one day I just decided enough is enough. And I started fighting. I started fighting back, not just verbally, but physically. And once I started fighting back, it's like all of the anger and resentment or whatever I had in me, I would take out on other people. So once that door opened, I fought anything that moved. If you said something wrong, we were fighting. And then I remember as I got older, because I knew who my biological parents were. So I never did have that story of loss. Like, I wish I knew who they were, that kind of thing. But I can tell you, if you share this situation of being adopted and all of that, and you feel that void of not knowing who they are, I guess the grass is always greener on the other side, per se, because although I know, my knowing only made me even more grateful that my mom took me on to raise me and help me become who I am today, compared to the outcome of other biological siblings. So sometimes in life, when it seems like you got the raw end of the deal, you actually got the best end of the deal, right? There's a business partner, friend that I've met named Vince. And his childhood story is a whole lot worse than mine, right? He was severely abused, but he is the happiest man you'd ever meet. When he tells the story, you look at him and you wonder, what's wrong with him? Like, how can he have that kind of story and still be that happy, right? Right? How can he find that much joy in life with that kind of story? So what I want you to do with those childhood memories is, instead of looking at the worst side of them, whether it be abuse, mental or physical, because they are still abuse, think about how strong it made you. Think about how determined it made you. Think about how it's helped you be a better parent today. If you're a parent today, think about how it taught you all the things you did not want to do as a parent. When I look back on my childhood story, I think about how I was taught to be determined, how I was taught to show up no matter what, how I was taught to care for others, how I was taught the importance of putting other people first. Look at the story from a different perspective. So my answer to the lady that inboxed me is, you determine the story's effect on your life, right? Although you didn't create the story, you determine the outcome that story has on your life. You determine how you feel yourself, how you create a better you from the story, how you take the bad in it and turn it into good, how you take your stories and use it to help other people, right? Use it to help other children here and now that may be going through the same thing you went through as a child back then. Childhood traumas only stay traumas if you stay traumatized. If you personally decide to shift the trauma side of it all, then it no longer becomes a childhood trauma. It is now a childhood experience that has shaped you to be who you are today. So you have to make a decision. And that decision is, do you want to live life talking about childhood traumas? Or do you want to live life talking about childhood experiences that has made you and molded you into who you are right now and the greatness that you can become? And in talking about this, remember I promised you a story. I love to read stories, actually. I met a coach one time when I was first starting this journey, and he was telling me all the potential that I had in the vision that I had in helping coaches and helping people in business. And he looked at me and he said, you tell me your vision. You tell me what it is that you're going to do, but now you have to believe it. I don't think you quite believe that you're capable of it yet. And so what he did was he sent me this book. And this book actually speaks to the child we used to be and the person we are now and the person we can become. The name of this book is called Maybe. Maybe, a story about the endless potential in all of us. And it's written by Kobe Yamada. And I want to read the inside flap to you as well. It says, "You are the only you there ever has been or ever will be. You are unique. Just the odds of you being here at this exact place and this exact time are so great and so rare that they will never happen again. This is a story for everything you will do and everything you could be. It's for who you are right now, and it's for all the magical, unbounded potential you hold inside." And again, the name of this book is called Maybe. And it says, "Have you ever wondered why you're here?" And it says, "You are the only you there ever has been or ever will be. You have so much to offer. Maybe you will invent something that no one has ever seen before. Maybe you will build things that reach high into the sky. Your life is yours. Try as many things as you can try. See as much as you can see. Wherever you go, take your hopes, pack your dreams, and never forget it is on journeys that discoveries are made. Maybe you will help others to see the beauty in each day." That's Miss Barbara. "Or maybe you will lift cheering crowds onto their feet. Do everything with love. Follow your heart and see where it leads you. Maybe you are here to shine a light into places that have been dark for far too long. Maybe you will speak up for those who can't speak up for themselves. Maybe you are here to help in ways that only you can. There will be struggles. There will be fears. And it won't always be easy. At times, it will feel really hard. And you might make a mess of things. You may fall down. You may fail. But you will also get back up. And you will rise a little stronger and a little taller. Because there really is more inside of you than you know. And this world needs your gifts, your talents, your big ideas, and maybe you are just getting started. What if you are only scratching the surface of what you can do and who you can be? What if you have talents you haven't discovered yet? There is something powerful, even magical about you. You already have everything it takes to do big things. Maybe you have no idea just how good you really can be. And maybe you won't know how much you matter. But maybe, just maybe, the world has been waiting centuries for someone exactly like you. One thing is for sure, you are here. And because you are here, anything is possible. I absolutely love this book. The back says, maybe, just maybe, you will exceed your wildest dreams. So maybe if you take that childhood trauma, turn it into a journey, discover the lessons behind it, and allow it to impact you so that you can impact the world, just maybe the reason why you're here, and everyone has a purpose, everyone has a reason, can be discovered, and you can start being the purpose-filled, impactful person that you were born to be. We will have more from the Impact Hour after this commercial break.
Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti, and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the...
All right, we are back to the Hour of Impact show. I am A'nary Bellamy, your impact leader. And before commercial break, we were actually talking about childhood trauma. And we were talking about how that word trauma can affect your mindset and healing and moving forward. So at some point, you have to decide whether it's going to continue to be trauma or if it's going to turn into childhood journeys that have shaped you into who you are today. Now, I know some of you are like, yeah, okay, Mary, that's easier said than done. You don't know anything about my childhood. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know how it scarred me mentally. You don't know the PTSD behind it. You just don't know. So it's easy for you to say, but it's not so easily done. Well, I'll say to you this. There is a couple of steps that heals anything. And that first step is deciding that you deserve to be healed. You have to, at some point in time in your life, decide that you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be whole. You deserve to have peace of mind. You deserve to have immeasurable joy in your life. And when you decide that you, in fact, deserve these things, it will make you hungry to go out there and find it, right? So first you have to work on that. First you have to tell yourself, I am enough to deserve better. I am not who they said I was. I am bigger and I am better. Then after you decide that you deserve change, then it's up to you to figure out how it's going to be best for you to go about that. Okay. So disclaimer, I am no medical professional. This is just impact life experience that I'm sharing with you on today. So once you decide that you deserve change, once you decide that you deserve happiness and peace of mind, for some, you may have to seek help from a medical professional, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. People have a stigma behind that, and they say, I don't want to tell people my business. I don't want people to know what I've really been through. But I can tell you firsthand, talking to a neutral person is such a safe space. It opens doors for you to say things that you would never say to someone you know, right? And why is that? It's because there is a fear of how they will see you and how they'll look at you after the fact. If you tell them how you're really feeling, if you tell them what you really think about a situation or an experience you had with a person. But this neutral person that you're sitting across from has no vested interest one way or another but your healing. Now, the catch to that is because they're responsible for your healing, they're responsible for being honest with you as well. So if you're seeing things wrong, they're going to tell you, I think you saw that wrong, right? So you have to be prepared for that. But Seeking medical help, that's an option. And then some people can just go into their own personal, I like to call it throne room, and heal through meditation, reading books, things like that. But your foundation is working on your self-esteem. No matter how you go about doing it, your foundation is working on your self-esteem and deciding 1000% that you deserve better. You deserve to be emotionally cleansed. And then your next step is to decide how it's best for you to go about that. Okay? Then after you decide how it's best for you to go about it, then you have to let yourself fully go through the experience. So here's what I did at first. At first, I only let go of a little bit, right? A little teeny bit. I didn't want to let go of it all. It was like, it's too much, or I'm just afraid of what's going to happen if I bring all of this to the surface. I don't know if I can handle all of this. And so I kept stunting my healing, right? I kept slowing down my healing because I was only doing a little teeny piece at a time. And it just doesn't work that way, right? It's like cooking a recipe. You can't, let's say I cooked the meatloaf last night. If I put the bell peppers in the bowl and then walk away and a month later come back and put the onions in the bowl, walk away and a month later come back and put the meat in the bowl, and if I keep doing that, one, the meatloaf is never going to get done. And the reason is, over time, the one thing I did put in the bowl is going to spoil because of all the other ingredients that wasn't in the bowl, and because it wasn't fully cooked and I didn't see it all the way through to the end. I'm going to keep losing ingredients. And so I'm going to get caught on this hamster wheel of trying to make this meatloaf that's never going to get made. It's the same thing in life. If you keep trickling and letting go just a teeny bit here, and then 6 months later, you let go a little bit here, what happens is the things that you are holding on to won't allow you to fully release the thing that you actually thought you let go of. And here's how you know that that's happened to you. When something looks familiar to one of those pains or one of those situations that you thought you let go of, and you have this reaction like no other to it, then that means that you haven't let go of it. All right? So that's why it's important when you decide to go into the process that you go in all the way. Let it go, right? Dump it all. You're going to cry, right? If your heart's going to hurt, your heart's going to hurt. If you're going to have to recover from it, you're going to have to recover from it. But why get stuck on a hamster wheel where you're doing it over and over and over again and you're never actually getting healed? So make the decision and allow yourself to be healed completely. We have to stop half-stepping. And we're guilty of it as men and women. You have to let go 100%, completely let go of those things that are holding you back. And the truth of the matter is you can't really, truly discover your purpose until you let go of your past. I don't know what it is or why it blocks each other the way it does, because your past helps to mold your purpose, right? But it does. So until you let go of the past, you can't fully function in your right now. You can't fully function in your purpose. So there's all of these people out here and they're talking about chasing your purpose and finding your purpose and how do I know my purpose? You can't truly know your purpose until you let go of the pains of the past. Now, you've let go of the pains of the past, and now you're ready to operate in your purpose. The reality is your purpose is going to be found in your past. And I'm just like, okay, A'nary, now you're talking in circles. But what I mean is, once you let go of the hurts of the past, you're able to see the victories, the lessons, the molding of your past, and how you can now help people from those things today. It's amazing what happens when you clear all the hurt and pain and walls from in front of the pieces that you were really meant to get. And then oh my God, right? I went through that. I experienced that for a time like this. And the amazing thing is, when this happens, you don't have to go out and find those people you were purposed to serve. They find you, right? You cross paths in the grocery store, you doctor's offices, it doesn't matter. You just somehow, once that door is open to your purpose, the people are placed in front of you that you were meant to heal. And I often have to ask myself, how many people passed me by that I was purposed to heal, that I allowed to stay broken because I was holding on to my past and had yet to discover my purpose? How many people could I have helped and I didn't know it? How many people were right in front of me needing what I had to offer and I didn't know, because I was still holding on to me and the shadows of my past? So don't worry about the finish line of this process. Just take things one step at a time. Some days you have to take things 1 hour at a time. Some days it gets so deep you have to take things 1 minute at a time. But it's important to go about it this way in order to be able to carry out the journey, see the journey all the way through. So now you found your purpose. The people you're purposed to serve are now coming to you. They're in front of you. And then you hit this wall. You hit this wall that says, I'm not as healed as I thought I was. Because something sneaks up on you that you didn't even know existed as a problem within you, right? You're helping someone else and you now realize, oh my God, this is something I struggle with as well. Don't start over. It doesn't mean you have to go back to square one. It doesn't mean that you can't operate in your purpose because you're not good enough. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that you still have more healing to do. It just means that now you're ready to peel off another layer so you can step up a step higher into your purpose. And every time you peel off a layer from your past, every time you peel off a layer of something that's happened since your past or something that's happened since your healing, it only means that it's time for you to take a step up. Now, what we tend to do is we tend to take a step backwards. Just like in our childhood, we tend to want to retreat. You ever notice how when a kid gets scared, they run to a corner or somewhere, they retreat and they get really small? That's what we want to do. Even as adults, that childhood piece in us is what we want to do. We want to run and retreat and curl up in a safe space and not face things head on. But that's not the solution. In this journey of adulthood and growth and purpose and impact and healing, you have to face things head on. If you don't, they will consume you and eat you alive. And in this case, the time that you've spent curled up in a corner, retreating, not wanting to face things head on and get that healing that you need, is time other people are staying broken because you were the one put on this earth to heal them. So in all that was said today, I have to ask, what is your maybe? Maybe if you healed the struggles of the past, maybe if you healed what you're now calling, right now you're calling childhood traumas, and allowed them to be the lessons and journeys they were meant to be, maybe if you actually decided that you are enough and you deserve everything life has to offer you, just maybe, if you say, I'm ready to walk in my purpose and heal those that I was meant to heal and be the greatness that I was meant to be, you can start walking into your destiny. the destiny that you were meant to have, you can stop existing and start living. There is definitely a big difference between existing and living. How do you know which one you're doing? If you wake up in the morning, you go to work and you come home, and maybe you go to a movie, or, and you find yourself in this robotic state, and you find yourself laughing at times, and you find that you feel that you're happy, right? I have a smile on my face, so of course I'm happy. But you're not truly happy no matter what. You haven't been able to tap into that no matter what type of joy. That's not living. When you've accomplished living, it means that you have a joy that doesn't come from others. It's a joy that exists within you. It's a joy that gets you up in the morning. It's the joy that helps you put one foot in front of the other, no matter what's happening in life. It's the joy that gives you excitement to show up for other people. It's the joy that makes you happy to either do your 9 to 5 that you're doing or the business that you're running. It's the joy that allows you to embrace parenthood, no matter what it looks like, no matter what state your kids are in at that moment. It's a joy that allows you to go to sleep at night and have peace of mind, knowing that you did and accomplished all that you could do and accomplish in a day. And you're laying down not to sleep away your troubles, but to rest yourself, to be able to wake up in the morning and do it all over again. So my question to you is, what is your maybe? And maybe if we learn the difference between happiness and true joy, peace and contentment, we can truly start to live. And in living, we can start to impact the life of others. I encourage you, and the young lady that sent me the inbox that she did about childhood traumas, to stop calling experiences in life traumas and start pulling out the lessons and experiences from them and seeing them as just another step on this journey called life that is molding you into being the impact leader you were meant to be, the purpose-filled person that you were meant to be, and is opening the doors that's going to allow you to live. I am A'nary Bellamy, your impact leader, one who has let go of the pains of my past, the what used to be traumas of my childhood. I've embraced my experiences in life, the then and the now. And I walk into each new experience, whether it be negative or positive, looking for what it is I need to learn, what it is I need to get out of it, to make me more fulfilled, to make me more impactful, to make me more purpose-filled, so that I can show up for you every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to impact you and your life, so that you can in turn impact others. I'm A'nary Bellamy, your impacted leader. You have been on the Impact Hour. Thank you for your time and being with me on today. I look forward to seeing and being with everyone again next Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, everyone be blessed.
I tell people sometime, I'm just saying sometime twice. I just noticed that I when I listen to people's stories and when they really express themselves, I want to really just put an ask out there to everybody and really listen to what they're saying. Let's really take that time out. We are always rushing and talking about how busy we are. And I'm talking when I say this, I'm talking to myself too. But we are in this world all together. And we deal with things on an everyday basis, good and bad and ugly, as I was saying earlier. And A'nary, she was telling her story. And I can reflect on so many things that she was telling in her story into my own story. Because a lot of stuff that she dealt with, I dealt with as well. And that's why you need to listen, because you don't know the connection that you can have with somebody. First of all, to say to yourself, wow, I wasn't alone when I was dealing with that stuff when I was younger until now. And if I'm still struggling in those areas as an adult, I have somebody that I can talk to, because we have this little communion now because we both dealt with it. So take that time. Take the time to listen to people's stories. I say this over and over again. Those are your golden nuggets. Those are your things to move you forward. Those are the things to keep driving you. I'm always talking about the PPD, your purpose, your passion, your drive. And I say the drive in PPD means to go back. And a lot of people battle me with this and say, well, I don't want to go back. I want to think about all the stuff I went through about, if I struggled with, alcohol or drugs, or I struggled with bullying, or I was sexually abused. Barbara, why you want me to take me? Why are you taking me back? And I look at them, I say, you see how it's charging you up right now? You see how you're thinking about it? You're like, because when you do that, it pushes and motivates you to say, I am not going to let that make me a victim. And I want to go out and help tell others not to be a victim because of the things that they went through. So I always say that's a motivational piece for me. And then it helps me say why I tell my story is because I know I have to do that. It's a must for me. I tell people always ask me, well, if people are interviewing me, they're like, well, Barbara, what things do you want you to ask? What questions do you want us to ask you? Do you want us to stay away from certain topics? Do you want us? I said, you know what? No, I don't want you to stay away from anything, because if I leave something out and there's that one individual out there that needs to hear that Barbara was sexually abused when she was 20 years old, and they just got sexually abused, or a family member or a friend got sexually abused. If I don't tell my story, then that individual that needs to hear that story misses out. And that can take them into a darker moment, because they're going to feel like, I feel unworthy. I feel not valued. Because that's how I felt when that happened to me. And so if I tell my story from the beginning, from the end, and to the end, where I said I didn't let all that stop me from moving forth. Now, was it a struggle? Did it take me some time to get through it? Did it take some counseling? Did it take God and me having one-to-one conversation? A lot of them? Yes. But that's the process of how I had to get out of that hole. And if people don't hear that process of you getting out of your holes of your story, what you went through, then other people won't be able to learn that process when they need it. I mean, we all are intelligent creatures. We're all intelligent human beings. I get it. But some things, I'll tell you in a heartbeat, I might not understand certain things. That's why I go to university. That's why I went to college. That's why I ask other people. That's why I go to count. You do those things because you're not going to know everything. And that's why we say, tell your stories. Because it's so important to make sure that people can say, hey, I have somebody that I might be able to talk to now. Even if it's them just listening to you. See, a lot of times I tell people it not have to be about, you doing all the talking to them. Sometimes they just want to sit back and say, you know what, Barbara, you talk. This is your time just to just let it out. I'm just your ears right now. And that's one thing that sometimes people don't understand. I know sometimes a lot of times people want to fix things quickly. I know sometimes I do that. I want to be like, okay, let's just get through that. Let me just fix it. Especially men. Men do that a lot. They always want to fix something. You tell them something. You're trying to tell them. Especially women and men. That's how we're different in that aspect. Well, the woman's trying to talk to their man and saying, well, this happened. Okay, that's good lady. I love you, but how can I fix this? And they're looking at them like, why don't you listen to me? I need you, even if you feel like I'm telling a whole big story that you don't want to hear. I need you to hear me right now. So make sure when people are talking to you, they're telling you it's a sign of a cry out sometime. So they need you to listen. And then you know what? Get a chance to learn something. And then going right back, right back to the quote that I talked about. Don't ever underestimate the impact you have on somebody else's life. Let's create that impact. Let's move forward. Let's help people move forward and level up in their lives on the things that you learned through what you went through. It's a stepping stone of strength. It's a stepping stone of encouragement. That's what I always say. So with that, we're going to be back tomorrow with now another on Wednesdays. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are powerful because it's a whole hour of some wonderful experts. So tomorrow we're going to have Mr. Barry Mixon talking about gems compared to humans and how we compare to each other and knowing your stories and understanding the person's story. So it goes right back into the stories. So he will be on tomorrow as his first 1 hour show starting in May. And I know he's looking forward to it. Hint, hint. I know Barry's like, yeah, okay, Barbara, if he's listening. But he'll be on tomorrow for a whole hour of Barry Mixon tomorrow. And we will see you then. And as always, as I say, your foundation is your PPD. Your foundation is your PPD in life. Remember, your purpose, passion, drive is so important. Your genius, your gifts are so important to share with others. Not just, really helping you, which helps you out to build who you are, but it makes you so important to other people's lives so they can work together and know your genius. So with that, we will see you on tomorrow. And remember, as I always say, your PPD is what I say is your diamond factor. And just shine for the rest of the world. See you tomorrow. Bye.